The TOEFL test is going to completely change. On January 21st, 2026, there's going to be all new question types. The way that it's scored is going to be different. It's going to be pretty much a new test. But what does that mean for you? Which one is easier? Which should you take? Is your institution going to still accept your scores? And how to prepare for this new version of the test. I'm going to go through all of this together right now so you know exactly what to expect on test day, and you know which test to take, and you know which one is easier. My name is Josh from TST Prep. I've been doing this TOEFL stuff for over a decade now, and all of this information is directly from ETS, the company that makes the TOEFL. I'll be sure to put links in the description to all of the resources that you can find to help you prepare and also help you learn more about this new version of the test. So let's start with the most important question. What score do you need? Now, why is that so important? Because in the past, before January 21st, 2026, the score was up to a scale of 120. So 120 was the highest, 0 was the lowest. Now, 1 is the lowest, 6 is the highest. So what does that mean? And how do you know what your score means and what your institution needs? So here is a chart so you can see from ETS what each score means now. So if you get a 6 or a 5.5 or 5, what does it mean compared to the old scoring criteria? I know that's a lot of information on that table, so let me just give you a quick kind of shortcut. So if you get a 6 on the new TOEFL, that's kind of like getting 120, a perfect score, or a 30 in the speaking or reading or writing or listening, any section. If you get a 5, that's about 100. Now, the overall score of 100, and about a 25 in, let's say, the speaking section, for example. If you get a 4, that's about an 80. So a 4 is probably the kind of base that you need to go to a university in America or Australia or wherever you're going. And so you probably need at least a 4 on the TOEFL, and that would be a score of, let's say, 20 in the TOEFL speaking. So 4 is kind of that magic number. You want to get 4 or higher on test day. It seems like most institutions are still accepting the new version of the test, but just double check with them first, make sure that that's okay. Let's go on to the content, what to expect on test day, and how is it different from the past? And is it easier? That's the most important thing. Is this getting easier or more difficult? So my answer might surprise you actually. So let's look at the TOEFL reading first. The first new task type is complete the words. So you can see already this is very different from the old TOEFL. It's not just these long academic passages. Now you have these short passages where you have to complete the words. You also have another short passage called daily task, where you have a short passage, you read it, and then you answer 2 questions about it. They also have these daily life tasks that are a little bit longer, like a longer email or a text chain, and then you answer 3 questions about it. And then the last thing is the academic passage. This is similar to the old test, except this passage is about half as long as the old test. It used to be 700 words long, now it's about 300, 400 words. That's it, those are the new tasks for reading. Which one is easier? Well, I think that the new version is easier because you have to read less. So, in the past you read these really long text academic passages, and there's a lot of details, a lot of difficult vocabulary. So the passages got shorter. So I think that's a little bit easier for you to focus on. I will say that it did get a tiny bit trickier. And what I mean is that, so for complete the words, for example, sometimes I have trouble finding, myself, I have trouble figuring out what word belongs in a certain place. So that is something that can be tricky and might make you confused on test day. Now, how do you practice these questions? Be sure to visit tstprep.com, make a free account, and when you do that, you get over 100 free TOEFL reading practice questions. You can practice each task type for free. For reading, listening, speaking, writing, you can practice at TST Prep. Now, the next section, the listening section. What are the new task types? The first one is listen and choose, which is pretty simple. You listen to a statement and then you have to choose the best response, like this.
The deadline's coming up sooner than I expected.
So that's pretty simple. You have about 10 of those to do, maybe 15, something like that on test day. And then you have these really short passages. Listen to a conversation and listen to an announcement. It is what it sounds like. Listen to a conversation. It's a very short conversation, less than 1 minute long, and then you answer 2 questions about it. Same thing for the announcement. They make an announcement, there's some type of change, let's say on campus, they have they're opening a new testing facility. So again, takes less than a minute, you answer 2 questions about it. So those are really short. And then you have the academic passage. The academic passage is like the old version of the TOEFL where you listen to a lecture, but again, it got shorter. It's less than 3 minutes, it's actually around 2 minutes long, and you answer some questions after you listen. So this is easier. This is easier than the listening right now. The main reason is because the passages are shorter. When you have to listen to these longer passages, it's just kind of hard to focus for that amount of time. It's probably hard to focus on me right now, right? So, because I'm talking for a while, so probably hard to focus on those. But the newer version, they're shorter, so it's easier to focus. So yeah, I think it got easier. Again, TST Prep, make a free account. You could practice these as well. All right, let's talk about TOEFL Writing, build a sentence. So this one was actually a bit trickier than I thought. I thought, oh, it looks simple. I just take the words and put them in the right order. It's actually harder than it looks. You have 10 of these on test day. It's the first task in the writing. Yeah, be careful of these. They're a little bit tricky. The next one is to write an email. Again, you write an email. You have about 7 minutes to do this, and it's probably about 150 words when you actually write it. I'll talk more about strategy for these type of tasks in future videos. Right now, this is just an introduction. And then academic discussion. So this is the one question type that survived from the old version of the test to the new version. This is the same. It's that you are part of an academic discussion online. A teacher asks a question, 2 students respond to that, and then you write your own response, again about 150 words. And I'll talk more about that in separate lectures. If you want to practice this, you can find questions at TST Prep, but I also encourage you to use ChatGPT. Ask ChatGPT for advice. How can I improve my vocabulary? How can I improve my grammar? How can I improve my structure? What advice would you give me? We also have writing evaluations at TST Prep, but I think ChatGPT or any AI is a good place to start getting feedback on your writing. So the writing, is the new version easier? It is, but it's trickier. So it's easier because it got shorter. You don't have to write as much. You used to have to write 2 full essays. Now you kind of write 2 half essays, an email and an academic discussion. And the build a sentence is tricky. So that's the thing with this new test, is that I think most of it's kind of easier. The tasks are shorter, but they are tricky still, and so you still have to be prepared and know what to expect on test day. Let's move on to the speaking section, everybody's favorite section. There are 2 new tasks. The first task is listen and repeat. It's pretty simple.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our main office.
And that's it. Then you repeat what was said. So that's listen and repeat. They'll have 7 statements. They'll get a little bit longer each time, and then you have to repeat what is said. The idea here is that they want to hear your pronunciation and accent, and also they want to hear if you can remember longer strings of statements. So the first statement will be pretty short, but as it keeps going, it'll get longer, and it's kind of harder to remember when somebody says something that's a little bit longer. Okay, so that's listen and repeat, and the next one is take an interview. So take an interview. They ask you 4 questions, 1 question at a time, and then you have to speak for 45 seconds. So they'll ask something, about your hobbies, your interests, something about education, your opinions, what you think will happen in the future. There's a lot of different topics, but it'll start and they'll ask you a question, and then you have 45 seconds to answer, and then another question, 45 seconds, another question, 45 seconds, and then the last question, and the last 45 seconds. So you have 4 opportunities to speak for 45 seconds. I'll go into tips and tricks in a separate lecture for that. I do have to say, though, that they have a very odd, AI video that I will just show what it looks like here. It looks very weird. Hopefully they change that because it's pretty uncomfortable to talk to. So on our practice materials at TST Prep, we just put an image and the what's it called? The waveform of the person speaking, because it's just kind of awkward. Anyway, so that's the speaking. Which one is easier? So I think it got easier with the new version because they don't have these integrated tasks anymore, where you had to read or listen to a audio file or read a text and then you had to speak about it. Now it's just whatever comes to your mind. So now it's more similar to like the IELTS interview or the Duolingo English Test interactive speaking. And to practice this one, I recommend My Speaking Score. They can give you a score for the new version of the test and the old version as well. So any of these resources, My Speaking Score, ChatGPT, and of course TST Prep, these are the places to practice for the new version of the test and for the old version while it's still around. So I hope by now you feel more comfortable about the new test, you know what to expect, and you know what you're gonna do on test day. If you're still here, do me a huge favor, hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel a lot. And also, if you wanna practice with the new version of the test, check out this video here, check out TST Prep, and we're gonna be releasing more content to help you prepare for the TOEFL so you get your score as quickly and easily as possible, whether the old version or the new version. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.